Ashish Agarwal is joining us. He's head of research at CLSA India. He joins us from the sidelines of the CLSA conference, which is taking place. Ashish, thanks very much for your time. Great to have you with us here. I want to straight away dive into what is, I guess, clearly the most contentious and most debated topic right now, whether the RBI should cut rates at its next policy meeting on the 2nd of December or not. Where do you stand? Do you think the RBI should cut rates?
Well, I don't think we are looking at RBI cutting rates in a hurry. Of course, inflation is coming down, liquidity is improving, and I think rates on its own are showing some kind of adjustments. But as a house, we clearly don't expect a rate cut in terms of policy rate cuts in a hurry, at least over the next 3 to 4 months. Maybe we would like to see inflation coming off further, stabilizing, and maybe after that we can expect some policy rate cuts, but not in the immediate future.
Do you think the government directly or indirectly is nudging the Reserve Bank of India to lower interest rates?
Well, I think government has its own view. RBI has its own view. Government is, of course, to push economic growth, would like to see rates lower. RBI, and it's not new, RBI has always maintained that its priority is inflation. So I think both are approaching from their own objectives. There's nothing wrong in what either of them is doing. I think we, as an economy, we need both a good balance of growth as well as softer rates and inflation coming down.
Do you think, Ashish, a rate cut at this stage would help in reviving demand or bringing back the investment cycle, the capex cycle?
See, I think there are a lot more things that need to be in place with or without the rate cut. So as a corporate cycle, it's probably more dependent on policy reforms rather than the rate cut. So if the existing stalled projects get clearances, I think that's more important for a revival in the economy or capex cycle rather than pure rate cuts. On the retail side, I think sentiments are driving the first round of demand pickup. Of course, a rate cut will help in terms of mortgage demand, in terms of car sales. But is it now or is it in 6 months down the line? I don't think that a difference is material.
At your conference, investors, Ashish, are they fixated with the interest rate trajectory or they aren't really bothered now? They've placed their trust with Dr. Raghuram Rajan and they're pretty comfortable with whatever he does and decides. And they're looking at some of the other things which you mentioned, which basically lies in the ambit of the government.
No, I think most investors are not so much looking forward to just the interest rate cut. Most people are more upbeat about growth coming back, reforms, reviving stalled projects. Those are the key concerns, how and when the growth will come back. I think liquidity driving some correction in the short-term rates is good enough for the time being. So while, of course, a lot of people have been talking about rate cuts and how that is important for the markets to go up from here, I don't subscribe to that view. I think even without policy rate cuts, if the earnings growth cycle continues to pick up, there is enough scope for the markets to keep going up from these levels.
Ashish, what are your thoughts on the newly announced Kisan Vikas Patrika scheme that has been rolled out now? The rate of interest being offered at the end of a certain period is 8.4%. How do you view this in the context especially of what seems to be signals from the government and Mr. Jaitley in one instance, a message to the RBI to lower rates? So the RBI, the government is offering 8.4% and it's in a way telling the RBI to lower rates. What's your view?
I think we're looking at different tenures also, right? So government has been offering between 8.5% on most of the government saving schemes, whether it is public provident fund. Even the tenure is not very far from that number. So clearly, I don't think it is sending a contrast signal. 8.4% on a Kisan Vikas Patra is a good yield, a good investment opportunity, but I don't think it interferes with what RBI has to think from a 1 to 2 year perspective.
Do you think this will succeed in meeting its stated aim, which is luring people away from gold?
Too premature. I think gold has its own audience. Weak gold prices is probably what will keep people away from gold. rather than offering an 8.4% coupon. It's not that people don't have access to such instruments. There are enough government schemes that have given similar returns. So what you need is probably a little more, awareness about other financial products. And of course, as I said, weak gold prices would help to deter people who have traditionally thought that gold is, something that will always give a positive return. But we are seeing that. I think there is some shift from physical assets to financial assets. So clearly hopeful of getting more inflows into the financial saving schemes on a broader level. And I'm sure Kisan Vikas Patra will add to it.
Ashish, can you tell us how investors are viewing Dr. Raghuram Rajan's tenure at the RBI and his policy? And I'm not talking about interest rates, of course, which is the single biggest thing, but some of the other things which he's doing, trying to free up how banks are managed, how PSU banks are regulated, at the same time, in a way, putting in place practices which, over a period of time, would give the RBI better sort of, control and oversight over these banks. Many have said that Dr. Rajan actually is the second biggest positive and source of stability for financial markets after Mr. Modi.
No, I think investors, of course, see him in very good light. He has achieved the most important objective to some extent, stabilizing the currency. After what we saw last year, it's been an amazing consistency in the currency. He's done some right steps, whether it was the NRI bonds or some easing of regulations for the banks by giving those SLR, CRR, release. So I think most investors like the way he thinks. He's clearly considered to be a little more reformist than the governors we have seen in the past. That goes well down with the investors. Of course, everybody expects big bang reforms, rate cuts, and he's been patient on that. So clearly there is a lot more that investors do expect, but it's been a great start, no doubt about it.
Ashish, what are the 2 or 3 sort of big things which investors want to know from you and others, other speakers at your conference with regards to the banking and financial services space? Again, away from interest rates.
I think 2 or 3 things. One, of course, when does the growth come back? We're still struggling with credit growth being in that low double digits. So most investors are concerned, when do we see this going back to 14-15%? When do we see the next round of retail demand pickup or corporate demand pickup? Second, of course, investors are concerned about asset quality cycle. There is, of course, a lot more hope in the air now. But having said that, we're still arguably in the thick and thin, if not at the end of the cycle. And investors are clearly concerned that public sector banks' asset quality, will it weigh down on the sector at large? And third, as the global financials stare at the Basel III norms, Indian banks are not escaping either. So, we are talking about almost $50 to $75 billion of equity requirements by the Indian banks over the next 5 years as they adopt Basel III norms. So I think those are the 2 or 3 concerns that most investors have on their mind. What's the solution to that is the most common question that I face.
Ashish, do you have answers for them to the first question, which is when will real and sustainable demand come back?
I think it's, as far as real demand is concerned, it's still too early to comment when will it come back. We've heard mixed commentary from the festive season. We have heard some companies saying that it was a good festive season, the others saying there has not been much change at the ground level. So, it's too early to say whether we see the 17-18% credit growth anytime in the next 12 months. At the same time, I'm fairly hopeful that the number of 10%, which we are currently seeing, will go back to 14-15% in the next 3 to 4 months as the base gets normalized from the last year. So that 15 going to 18 might be a little more 12-18 months down the line, but 10 going to 14 should be there very soon.
You spoke about credit demand, Ashish. Do you think credit growth at banks has come down? Of course, because demand for credit is quite weak, but also, and more recently, because corporates have access to lower funds at lower cost in the market itself. The wholesale market, for example, which has seen a sharp drop in the cost. Do you think, how big a reason is that, Ashish?
Well, partly yes. I think weak commodity also translate into weakened credit demand. So it's a combination of everything. But definitely, the capex cycle remains very, very subdued. So that needs to pick up if we really need to see a pickup in credit demand. And also the retail side. We have seen some inquiries on the mortgage side, but we need to see new project launches. We need to see mortgage sales picking up, and that's the time when the real credit demand would start getting reflected. So yeah, it's a combination of everything. I don't think there is one single factor that you can attribute the weak credit demand to.
Ashish, I spoke to the SBI chairperson recently, and she said that the maximum amount of new disbursements which are happening are basically project completion loans, loans which were sanctioned earlier, and those are being handed out now. As some of those projects near completion, etc. Nothing new is really happening. How is this demand that you're talking about, which you said is still some time away, real demand, is going to come? How do you think it's going to come about at a time when the private sector isn't spending and the government is constrained?
I think the start of any fresh demand cycle has to be the hope. So there is clearly a lot more positive sentiment within the retail community, which we are seeing in terms of more inquiries for cars, mortgages. I think the start of the new demand cycle would come from this. You need to see this translating into real orders, flat bookings. That in turn will lead to more development launches on the project side, which in turn will lead to more projects, demand for steel, cement. So I think that's the classic way the cycle plays out. And that's what we will hope for. As far as corporate sentiments go, I think you need 2 or 3 big policy reforms, some facilitation from the government, and I'm sure there are enough corporates which are sitting on cash and are willing to deploy money if they have comfort on policy backing them on their new investments. So that can change pretty fast. I'm not very worried about that. We probably need to see some support from the government on that side.
But is hope enough? Because I got a feeling that that's basically what you're basing your argument on. First it's hope, and that's the single biggest thing. But is that enough, Ashish?
No, I think definitely there is a change in sentiment also, which is driving retail spend. And I'm not saying the government will not spend. Clearly, the government will facilitate new corporate capex. Make in India is something that I'm sure everybody is talking about. On the corporate side, I meet. And if you get some facilities or some facilitation from the government, there are corporates which will be SMEs, corporates which will be willing to spend to set up capex projects. So it's 12 to 18 months down the line. It's not something that will happen in the next 6 months. Plus, there are telecom auctions coming up. There is a coal auction coming up, which will all require credit, and that's where the demand will come from.
Let's just sort of wrap it up by. Why don't you tell me which stocks, banking stocks, investors are most excited about? What are they betting on from the sector? Usually it's private sector banks with most investors, but just want to ask you, is there any interest for PSU banks at all?
I think most of the investors are still looking at large caps. So ICICI Bank and HDFC Group is clearly the most well-known stocks, and is the stock that's seeing the maximum amount of interest. But a few investors also thinking of, is it the time to buy public sector banks, or we wait for getting into them? NBFCs have attracted quite a lot of interest given the recent RBI announcements. So it's a fairly wide, diverse set of views out there.
Ashish, thanks very much for your time. Great talking to you. Appreciate it here on the show. Thank you. Ashish Agarwal, Head of Research at CLSA India.